Imagine this. You wake up tomorrow and something feels off. No alarm, no buzzing phone, no emails, no meetings, no deadlines breathing down your neck. You open your eyes. The silence is different today. It's not the calm of a lazy Sunday morning. It's heavier, deeper, and then it hits you. You will never have to work again. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. Sounds like freedom, right? But here's the truth. Freedom always has a price. The real question is, do you know what yours is? Because real freedom, the kind you can touch, the kind that lasts, always comes with a price tag. And the mistake nearly everyone makes is assuming that price tag is impossible. They imagine it's billions. They picture Elon Musk staring down rockets, Jeff Bezos buying half the planet. Fortunes so massive they feel more like mythology than money. They've been trained by glossy magazines and TV shows to believe freedom is measured in yachts and islands, in towers that scrape the sky. But that isn't freedom. That's a cage made of glass and gold. Billionaires are not free. They are hunted, tracked, litigated, photographed, demanded from, begged from, betrayed by the very people they once trusted. Every dollar past a certain point doesn't buy freedom, it buys chains. Real freedom is quieter. It's smaller. It hides. It doesn't announce itself on magazine covers. It doesn't scream from tabloids. It lives in ordinary houses on quiet streets. And it doesn't require billions. It requires one thing, a number, your number. The moment you know it, the world changes. Because money stops being an endless fog, a finish line that keeps moving. It becomes something you can actually reach, a door with a key. So how do you find it? Imagine sitting at your table, a pen in your hand. You write down what your life really costs. Not the fantasy life with private jets and three-story closets. The real one. Rent or a mortgage, groceries, insurance, a car that doesn't break down every month, the little luxuries that make you smile, a dinner out, a vacation once in a while, a streaming subscription. Add it all up and maybe your number comes to $50,000 a year. The question is, how much money buys you $50,000 a year forever? There's a rule, a piece of quiet math born out of decades of research, whispered among people chasing financial independence. They call it the 4% rule, and it says, if you only spend 4% of your invested money each year, you can live on it indefinitely, because the other 96% keeps working, keeps growing, keeps replenishing what you take. Do the math. 50,000 divided by 0.04, the number is 1.25 million. That's it. 1.25 million buys you the freedom to never work again. Not billions, not fantasy money. A number you can write on a napkin. A number that doesn't feel impossible anymore. But maybe you want more than comfortable. Maybe you want freedom without compromise. A nicer home. Travel when you want it. The power to say yes to almost anything without checking your bank account. That's $200,000 a year, which means your number's 5 million. And if you want everything, cars, penthouses, vacations that blur into each other, a lifestyle built on luxury, you'll want $1 million a year. That means 25 million in the bank. Still, far less than the billion-dollar dream most people waste their lives chasing. But the story doesn't end when you hit that number. That's where the most dangerous part begins. Because imagine you actually reach it. $5 million, 10 million, whatever your number is. You could quit today. You could tell your boss you're done, walk out, and never come back. You're free. But do you actually stop? That's the trap. Because the moment you have enough, fear takes its seat at the table. What if it isn't enough? What if you live longer than you expect? What if inflation eats through it? What if the markets collapse and take half with them? What if your children need more? What if someone sues you, robs you, scams you? And so you keep working, you keep chasing, you keep hoarding. The finish line is behind you, but you don't look back. You keep running toward an imaginary number that grows bigger every time you get close. This is why people die with fortunes they never used, still chained to fears that were never real. Think of the man who saved and invested his whole life, hit his number at 50, but worked until 75 anyway. By the time he finally retired, His body was too tired to enjoy the freedom. He had millions in the bank, but no years left to spend them. Think of the lottery winners who went broke in less than a decade. Not because they didn't win enough, but because they didn't know their number and they never found balance. But let's imagine the opposite. Imagine you stop. You take the leap. You wake up tomorrow and the race is finished. At first, it's euphoria. You sleep as long as you want. You spend mornings walking through neighborhoods you never had time to notice before. You read books. You watch movies without guilt. You book flights on a whim. You surprise your parents with visits. You pay for dinner without counting pennies. For the first time in years, your shoulders drop. Your heartbeat slows. You breathe. But then something else creeps in. Something nobody warns you about. Because money buys freedom, yes. But freedom without meaning is a void. Days stretch too long. The novelty of sleeping in fades. The endless vacation turns stale. Without purpose, you begin to drift. And in that drift, fear and boredom sneak back in. This is the part nobody tells you when they sell the dream of early retirement. Quitting work forever doesn't just require money. It requires identity. It requires purpose. If you don't know what to do with the time you bought, the time itself can devour you. You see it with lottery winners who crumble, with celebrities who vanish into addictions, with early retirees who go back to work not because they need the money, but because they need the meaning. So the real question isn't only, how much money do you need to never work again? How much money do you need to live the life you want? What does freedom actually look like when you remove the work? And here's the harder truth. Your number isn't fixed. It changes with you. At 25, freedom might mean backpacking across Europe with $30,000 in savings and no deadlines. At 40, it might mean a house, kids, and the comfort of stability. At 60, it might mean fewer things but more time. That's why knowing your number isn't just about wealth. It's about clarity. It's about choosing intentionally what you want your days to look like, then designing your money to serve that vision, not the other way around. For some, that answer is 1.25 million. For others, it's 5 million. For a rare few, 25 million. But the truth is, the number is almost always smaller than you think. The real battle isn't against the math. The math is easy. The battle is against fear, against greed, against the endless whisper that enough is never enough. Because here's the twist. Knowing your number isn't about money. It's about courage. The courage to stop. The courage to step off the treadmill while everyone else keeps running. The courage to say, this is enough, when the world is screaming at you to keep chasing more. And when you finally reach that moment, when you know your number and you trust it, you don't just stop working. You don't just buy freedom. You buy your life back. The days belong to you again. You can build. You can create. You can play. You can rest. You can be who you were always too busy to become. You can write the book you dreamed about, paint the canvas you left in the attic, start the garden, travel the small towns, learn a language, rebuild the relationships that work had stolen. That's the truth hidden behind the fantasy. Not billions, not fame, not mansions carved into cliffs. Just one number waiting quietly for you to write it down. The price of never working again isn't unreachable. It's closer than you think. The only question is whether you'll have the courage to grab it when it finally arrives. Because freedom is not in some distant fortune. Freedom is a door, and if you know your number, you already hold the key.